Hello there, my friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I'm going to be stamping with you with the Leaf Collection stamp set today, and I'm going to do some omit stamping. So that means we're going to leave out some of the stamped image. We're going to omit it. So I'm going to be using 3 markers. I've got Fresh Freesia, I've got Blackberry Bliss, and I believe I have Pecan Pie. So those are my 3 colors. And yes, I am using my retired Stamparatus or placement tool, so whatever you have. If you have one of these nifty tools, it helps with the stamping and keeping the image in the same place in case you need to stamp it a second time to get good coverage. So I'm going to start with a piece of white. Now I believe, it's been a little while, that this is 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. So I'm going to put this down on my grid sheet. Now normally I would tell you to use your very strong magnets and keep them away from each other so they don't clink and break. But because I'm using a full stamp, I can't put the magnets underneath it. So you could put a little bit of adhesive underneath it just to hold it in place in case you need to stamp it twice. I think I'll just do that for today. So I'm just going to put a little bit, if I can get it to come out at all. There we go. I haven't used it in a while. Just going to put a little bit on those 2 corners just to help me keep this cardstock where I want it, so if I need to stamp more than once, it won't shimmy on me. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to color our background stamp with our markers. So I'm going to start with the Fresh Freesia because it's my lightest color, and I'm just going to pick a pattern that I want this to be. So I think I'm going to go with this big broad leaf. Now I just picked 2 purples and a neutral to use. You could go with greens, you could go with blues, you could use any colors you wanted to kind of do this. So I just chose, I was in kind of in a Blackberry Bliss kind of a mood, so I picked Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to do this little one over here in the corner. Now, I said I was going to omit, so I'm not going to color everything. Okay, I'm just going to color a few things. Let's leave that like that. Now I'm going to go with my Blackberry Bliss, and I'm using the paintbrush tips of my markers to color my stamps. So just use the side and just paint that color on. If your markers are nice and juicy, you probably won't have a problem with your ink drying. If they're on the drier side, after you get what you want colored, you might want to huff it. Okay, let's just put a hot breath on it to reactivate the ink. Another thing you can do, although it gives you more of a watercolor effect, is you could mist it with some water from a distance, and that'll help reactivate the color too. But your effect might be a little bit spotted from the water. So whatever you want to do as far as applying ink goes. Now I'm going to go up the edge right there, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do this little part too. Like I said, I was kind of in a Blackberry Bliss mood. So here, alright, now we're going to go with that neutral. I've got the Pecan Pie. And so I'm going to do this small, petite one, like this. And I have a little bit of that Blackberry Bliss right there. So I just used a chamois, clean that up, and then I'm going to do this one over here. Okay, now, so I'm going to stamp it. I want to omit part of it, but I think I want a little more of this going on. So I'm going to color this edge just a little more, just to give it a little bit of a framing there. And yeah, well, let's go. Alright, so I have my colored. Now I didn't color these guys here, I just did kind of down the red edge, and I have this placed over there. So I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm going to press kind of even all over. That was one of the great things about these tools, was that you had this large plate that you could apply even pressure to. So if you have one, get it out and use it. Just because it's retired doesn't mean it's not a great tool for using. or if you have a different brand, use that. There's lots of them out there. Okay, let's see how we did. I'm going to peel this up. And so you see I got missing a little bit there, but this kind of just did the edge. So I have a little purple there. I'm just going to re-marker this leaf that didn't quite press down. It was one of the first ones I did. But because my paper hasn't moved, I should be okay just to re-stamp it. So I'm just going to bring it back over, press right there, get some transfer of color. Much better. Okay, so now I've got this fun little layout where I've used some of the background stamp, but not all of it. So that's omit stamping, okay? It's when you choose to not include the whole image. All right, so move that away. So now I've got this. I've got a Blackberry Bliss face. This time I cut it at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I scored it at 5 1/2. So I've got this. I've just got it cut down just a little bit. Now I did take a piece of scrap. This is 1/2 inch. Okay, when I cut my cardstock down, I always keep my scraps, and then I ran it through my embossing machine with one of the 3D Basics folder just to give it a little bit of texture. So I did that, and that's going to be my little paper ribbon, wherever it is I decide to anchor it as we move along. Now I'm going to add a sentiment. Now there's lots of white open space here, so we could stamp directly on the card if you want to. But I decided I was going to use my stamp set Enduring Beauty for my sentiment, and I'm going to use the Embrace the Beauty of You. And so I have the coordinating dies that went with that stamp set, so I'm just going to stamp that right on that tag die. Okay, so I've cut that out with my dies on my cut and emboss machine. So I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. Okay, and then I've got my paper ribbon. Now, I can put this anywhere. Now, like if I said, you know, you could stamp it direct, you could also just put it on. You don't need to have that paper ribbon, but I'm just going to add a little paper ribbon for a little anchoring. So, question is, where do I want it? Don't really want to hide all that stamping I did, so let's bring it up a little bit. Let's go kind of midway. And then I'm going to have this go on here. Now, we also have these cute little leaf dies that come with the Enduring Beauty set. Now, they don't exactly match the shape of what we stamped, but as far as I'm concerned, they're fun little embellishments, so I'm going to use them. So I'm going to put my sentiment up on dimensionals. I'm going to put my little leaves on mini glue dots. Just kind of put them on the stem part, and I can tuck them underneath my label after. Ooh, my glue dots are a little dry. Alright, we'll get those off in a minute. And I'm going to add all of this with my liquid adhesive. So I'm just going to do this real quick. And so I'm going to put my liquid adhesive on the back. There we go. Nice, light, kind of all around the edges. Put that panel down. Now my card's opening this way, so I'm going like this. Okay, and then I'm going to put on our paper ribbon. I'm just going to go across from edge to edge. If you're a little bit long, just give it a trim after. Sometimes I line that up to make sure I'm going straight. That's why those grid sheets are really fun tools to help you keep everything on the square. Okay, then I'm going to put my sentiment on. Now I'm going to peel off my little leaves. I'm just going to put them underneath. That came off on my finger. There we go. One up, one down. Sure, one up, one down. Okay. So, nice and easy, but a fun little omit stamping technique, so that if you have a large background stamp, okay, doesn't mean you always have to ink the whole thing. You can use parts of it. The other thing fun that I've seen going on with this one too is they're stamping it, and then it's big enough that you can cut them out and use them as embellishments on their own. So I'll try that down the road here in a little while too. So I hope you enjoyed the project today. I'm going to show you one other one I made in my playing of the sample. This one I went the sideways, but it's all the same embellishments. I colored it a little bit differently, right? I have a little extra leaf in here this time, but it's totally up to you as you're crafting your cards. Nobody says any two have to be the same. So enjoy your stamping. If you have any questions about this, please leave me a comment, or if you just want to comment, let me know you enjoyed the project, and if you might try this OMIT stamping, that would be great too. Alright guys, until next time, go do some fun stamping yourselves. Bye-bye.